Good morning everybody. This video has probably been something I should have covered probably at the start of my channel, because I've been aware of this for 20 years and I've kind of, to my sadness, get out of the light a little bit, not ever had the chance or the opportunity to record it, even though it's not too far away from me. I've always been distracted, but today, get all that aside, we're going to do it. We're going to talk about some really rare World War I pillboxes here just on the outskirts of Sittingbourne and Rainham. Please stay along with me, really enjoy this, because I think we're going to have a really interesting history sort of explore today with these, and we're going to sort of go into depth in their use and their purpose and their function. So please stay, let's go do it, come on. My oh my oh my. Actually, like, the condition of these just from the outset is incredible. Both of these two, we'll talk about that in a minute, and then we'll talk about other bits as well. I just want to get this out from the get-go. When I say on my channel that something's rare, I really mean that. And we know that World War I stuff, World War I history, tactile history that we can touch, is very rare. But however, we are very lucky in Kent because we've got a lot of World War I history from World War I airfields. That sort of, there's one that still stands. I'll probably cover that in another channel anyway at some point. I visited that about 3 times every time. I'm distracting myself. I'll talk about that another time, and I will do a video on that. Some remains of World War I airfield in Kent. We've also got Lodge Hill, which was an anti-aircraft World War I site, which is the most rarest thing you can probably find anywhere anyway on this wonderful isle of ours. But today we are talking about some really interesting World War I history, that of World War I pillboxes. Now, there are a few scattered along this area, but the reason why I've taken you to this one and another one is because there is relevance between these two, which I will speak about in a minute. However, I will keep chatting along this video, so please, we're not going to do a history lesson today, we're just going to explore it and talk it. But this is our World War I pillbox. And it is square from the get-go. So there was two... Oh, let's get in. Oh my God. There you go. A bong. Bong, 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 bong. Okay. So, let's talk about this wonderful pillbox that we're situated in. So, first things first, the gun emplacement is pointing the opposite direction, and there's one gun loop. So, or embouchure, which is there, and it's facing outwards, not onto Cylindrical Hill, which if I take you out again, you can see. Now, there's very good reason for that. Back in. I'll have to talk to you. It's very noisy out there, as you can imagine. Like I said, that is the main arterial road that links up between Rainham and Sittingbourne. I'm sure most of you know it if you live in Medway, for example. You're very familiar with that road. But it's strange how this one's pointing outwards. And there's one embouchure, or loophole. Now, there's very good reason for that. During World War I, there were not as many as you would think pillboxes, and most of them actually probably would be better off suited if you're in Norfolk. So actually, if you headed up to the Norfolk coast, you'd probably find a lot of them there. And there's some really interesting research that was done in them. However, in Kent, our main little cluster that we have is in just on the outskirts of Sittingbourne, here near Stockbury, and on the way to Detlam. And we're obviously where we are. Told you we're in Cylindrical Hill. But it's not pointing down to the road, it's pointing out onto the field. Now, the reason for that is because in World War I, the stop line of pillboxes was designed that they would be in pairs. So the idea was that one would cover the other one, so that you would have they work in tandem with each other. The premise was that if one was going to get attacked, the other one could protect it. Now, obviously, this one is pointing outwards to the field, so you can imagine, which when we're going to explore it, the actual other pillbox is to our right, pointing this direction. So it's actually pointing out to the field. Made of solid concrete, as you can see, with some steel on top, corrugated. There we go, beautiful. And you'd sometimes get steel shutters as well, but they're also wooden. So this is wood. And you can see, yeah, there we go. Beautiful wooden framing, just there. It's quite common. What isn't common, however, is that the majority of World War I pillboxes were cylindrical, and we'll probably cover that in a little bit. But they were mostly cylindrical. However, so to find some square ones is very, very cool. And they're beautiful, actually, little defensive blocks. And they've all got this wonderful little arched recess for you to come into. But it's tiny. It's absolutely tiny in here. Now, the other one that we're going to visit just around the corner, which was its twin, which like I said is the main reason why I'm doing this, because it puts everything in sequence, should be larger and it should have a couple more loopholes. Haven't visited it yet, but we're going to do that. Like I said, it's interesting because I've been very well aware of these World War I pillboxes for donkeys. And it's strange because you always see one on the main road. Currently, as of recording this, you can sort of, that one's disappeared, but it is still there, which is as you go up towards Detlin, there's all these major roadworks that's going on. It's kind of inconsequential for most of you who aren't here, but there's a very infamous, no, there's a very famous one, not infamous, there's a very famous one that's situated on a bit of a slant on the field, which most of you would see. It's a square little building with, it's like this. So yeah, fascinating really. I'm going to take you out, but this is a World War I pillbox, everyone, just in case you've never seen one before, you didn't think that actually existed, and we're going to talk again more about that. I'm trying to sort of tease you a little bit for the information because, you know, we've got a little bit of we've got to walk around this tree line here, and it's almost directly in front of me. Finger of Doom, I haven't said that in a while, Finger of Doom, and it's its pair. So they're a cute little couple, these pillboxes. Sorry for sort of making light of that. But yeah, they're a wonderful, wonderful little couple. But what's interesting about this is it's not defending the road. Its main purpose is to defend the field out here. And another thing to note with these World War I pillboxes is almost on every instance, there would be a trench networking system to coincide with this, because again, remember, we're in World War I at the moment, and as we know, the Battle of the Somme, World War I in general, for its military warfare, would be synonymous with trench warfare. Even though trench warfare had been going, you know, we know even trench warfare in terms of like the American Civil War, for example, but we know that for most of us, especially of a younger generation, because you get taught in your history classes at school, it is more well known for World War I. So these pillboxes would have been lined with trench systems as well that would have been cut in. There's still a few. Now, I was debating whether to film them today because I know where they exist and they're actually, again, not too far away from me, but it's in very, very dense overgrowth. But there is still some World War I trench systems not too far away from me. So it all adds to the sequence of this stuff. But basically, you know what a trench looks like. If none of you know what a trench looks like, it's just a basic sort of dugout defensive work. You know what more? You know what a trench is, everybody out there. Come on, you know what a trench looks like. Sorry, I'm really excited by this. So this is our first one. And you can see the wooden, it's amazing in that sort of loophole. Brilliant, isn't it? I love that. But it's just square. And that's all you're getting from this. Nothing more, nothing less. And it's so well camouflaged. But like I said, the interesting point is the defensive part of it is pointing out to this field. So like we said, they worked in pairs. So let's go to its pair. Come on. not there yet. Come on, got a little bit to go. Wow. Seriously, wow. Let's talk about it. So, welcome inside. It's really interesting. So this one, like we said before, is the pair of the one that we've just seen. The idea was that behind this one was actually aiming up to go a crossfire from that pillbox with its one embouchure pointing outward across the field that was aiming this way. What's interesting even more so about this is that, as you can see, I'll show you, its field of fire would have to be aiming upwards. Let me take you out a little bit. There you go. So that's our, pretend we are, we're pointing a gun out there and we're aiming. We're on the brow of the hill. And then out here on our second embouchure, or our second loop wall, our second gun loop, it's pointing out towards the field, the main field, to cover that. And it's quite windy because it's quite open. So it's interesting how exposed we are here. And then beyond us, so let's say that's pointing out to the main field, the rest of the World War I pillboxes are facing this way. In fact, that one that we saw, our first one, is the furthest one away that we have. Every other one is behind us, basically, or that has survived at least. So, okay, let's talk about purpose. What we found really interesting when I was looking through the records on these, and it's something I've been aware of for a while, and it's always been up for debate, really. During World War I, we know that there was a very sort of different mindset. The idea, and Blackadder probably, you know, if you watch Blackadder goes forth, it's very sort of stereotypical of that, the fact that it was go over the trenches. If you don't go over the trenches, you get shot. The idea, always, the tactic was to push forward. Always go forward. That also coincided with the argument of these World War I pillboxes. So what do I mean by that? The general command basically was that they were worried about making too many pillboxes because that would encourage the defenders, our troops, to be more likely to be defensive minded rather than to attack. Now, I know for some of you that's quite an interesting concept. Oh, let me just stand up a little bit before my before my knees give out. So they were very worried about that. And there was also the mindset that to do with cost. However, that really was a side argument as to their mindset, because they just didn't really feel that these pillboxes would, because again, you've got to imagine that pillboxes were sort of, they are defensive in their nature, but the World War I mindset at the time was to push forward. And it has been noted that there was documents pertaining to the idea that they were worried about putting too many pillboxes out because it would give a defensive mindset rather than an attacking mindset. So if the Germans were to come along, the whole point was that they were worried that they wouldn't have the foresight to go and attack straight away. They'd wait and defend. Again, the World War I mindset of military tactics at the time. But why build pillboxes, World War I pillboxes, when we know history tells us that really it was on the Eastern Front or the Western Front that, depending on where you were, that it was all trench warfare? Well, that's a good question as well. The whole purpose was that they were worried that Germany at the time might basically go round and they might actually, instead of keep fighting this trench warfare, they might just literally go around and then come and invade England. So this is why they were put up. The only other thing at the time was obviously Zeppelins that we know. and we've documented a very famous Zeppelin raid in. Oh, sorry, I want to get up and down all the time. There's a very famous Zeppelin raid that happened in Gravesend that I've documented, and there were many, many more that happened. So there was an aerial threat, no matter how small. But talking about this height size, I'm obviously, as I've spoken about, 5'10", just shy of 5'11". In fact, I'm probably more 5'11". That's what my friends keep telling me. They keep saying you're definitely 5'11", mate. I'm like, okay. So you can tell that my head is just about coming up to the top. Same design again. Let me show you. Concrete, solid concrete, steel corrugated roof with wooden frames for the gun loops. So beautiful, they still survive. Well, that one does. You can see this one doesn't. But it's brilliant just to look out and see the fact of where this would be covering. I apologise for the wind coming out. I didn't actually bring my wind muff with me on this one. Didn't actually think I'd need it, but then you go. It shows how exposed we are. In fact, actually, it's got an interesting point to note about this field. Because the moment you come down from a hill from the first pillbox, you drop in and then the wind just catches you. And like I said, what makes it is that the view that we're seeing, this side anyway, there's some houses obviously down there, wouldn't have changed from World War One. And I love that. I love that beautiful arch. And again, just re-talking about the idea that these are square. Majority of them were inferior. The majority of them would have been circular in design. In fact, one of the very, very rarest ones was, I think it's still there, which is in Pegwell Bay area in Kent, Western Kent, right on the sea, well, as in the sea, made up of individual concrete blocks. So if I'm wrong about that, that's okay. I'm sorry if I am wrong on that. It's okay to be wrong sometimes, but that I'm pretty sure the rarest of rarest ones is in the sea. Or it comes out of low tide and it was in bits and they sort of made it. And, yeah. World War One pillboxes. Amazing history, right? Let me take you out and show you around. Come on. Oh, my back. Really hurt my back. Oh, no. Oh, God, so much cramp. Right, let's talk about it. Okay, so, excuse the lighting and everything. This is obviously what we can see from the outside of our World War One pillbox. You can see this beautiful square design with two holes. And like I said, that one's facing up to the top of the hill where our second one would have been interlaced at the time, or potentially, which should have been interlaced with some World War trench system as well. But look at this. Beautiful clear aim of fire. Again, if you were the defenders, you can see a real big difference in how clear it all is. And on a beautiful winter's day like this, beautiful blue sky just gives us all the indications we need to see where our field system lies, where our gun placements are. Like I said, so I'm walking up now, back up to the second pillbox or the first one, depending. They would have been numbered as well. So here we are. Look at that. It's beautiful, really. And then you've got the golf course. So if I give you sort of a rough finger of doom, the rest of the pillboxes are over in that direction. But they're so rare and so beautiful. Look at that. Incredible. Right, so I just want to, luckily we're out the wind now, just want to put into context the two positions of the pillboxes which give them mutual fire support. Our pillbox, our first one, is directly down this field line here by the cops. It's literally in that corner there, and then you've got the road there going across Keekhole Hill. And then if we follow this line, so obviously bearing in mind that gun loop is, or the aim of fire is coming across here, which is actually supporting our pillbox there. So you can see that finger of doom, and that was the one obviously we've just been into, aiming up here. So there's a 90-degree field aim of fire supporting either, but they're pointing out that way. Now, another interesting thing to note, the swale is over there. In fact, you can sort of see it. So you've got obviously the Isle of Sheppey and then the swale underneath, and it's there. It's actually pointing away from the channel side, really. It's literally all inland where it's pointing. And it's amazing to put these two into sequence. And then, like we said before, it wouldn't be hard to imagine the trench system or the trench networking system going round. And then the next recorded ones that we know of are aiming straight down there, and they're literally within those tree lines. Each other one dotted in there. There's about, please don't have a go at me because I can't remember every single pillbox that there is. There's not many. I'd say there's about, including these two, probably about 5 more. So yeah, but I've got an interesting treat for you, which is obviously why this video is slightly going to be longer than what you're thinking is. You're thinking, hang on a minute, Dan, you've spoken about these 2 World War I pillboxes. You've given us the history of like the fact of why there aren't as many and why their use and that lot wasn't as we'd expect it during obviously World War II. Something more interesting I need to show you though. So you have to stay, aren't you? Sorry about that, everyone. You have to stay a little bit longer because I can show you something really, really cool as well. Come on. Okay, so we're here at the World War I cylindrical oval shaped pillbox, and you can see that is huge in there. It's quite a size. Oh, if I duck down, I can see it a little bit better. You have to pretty much crawl into that, but you can see there's 2 slits here, narrow. And this was labelled as number 3 pillbox. So, if we get round, there's another slit there. Won't be able to get into this, but it's fascinating, really. And again, it's pointing out onto the field. If I can get a bit closer, I can show you. Let's get in and have a look. Yeah, so bring it. Oh dear, that's a proper crawl in that one. Oh god. So you can see both gun slits are pointing outwards over to this field. Oh blimey, proper tiring that is, probably having to crawl through that. Don't know if we can actually have an opportunity to get in. It's so overgrown, you can see. So the actual entrance is in that huge overgrowth there, and you would have had to have ducked down and crawled into it. There's no way we can get into this one. There is another one that's probably in better condition in the middle of a farmer's field, but access to that is almost impossible as well. But the condition is amazing on that one as well. I thought I'd take you to this one to prove the 2 different types. So you've got cylindrical pillbox, and then you've got the square ones that we saw. How amazing is that? Hopefully, I'll see if I can just have just another little look inside for you, just so you get to see it properly. But the arch, the entrance, gives you a really good indication that's World War One, because it's exactly the same as the square ones. And all these would have been built by the Royal Engineers. And then, not too far down the road, was RF Detling. And we also know that during World War Two, these would have been repurposed anyway. So all of the World War One pillboxes that survived would have been repurposed during World War Two. But I just thought I'd show you this. Complete concrete. Solid, just concrete. All the way around. Amazing. So I don't know if you can see it, everybody, but behind there is the entrance, and then you've got the two gun slits that we're in. There you go. Oh. Not easy. Before any of you complain, it is way too narrow for me to slide into that. I don't really fancy it today. That would be for a small child. But yeah, there you go. Let's try and get you in further one more time. Without dropping you. You see the steel lining for the gun slit as well. I said, so you got two of these. You got this one, and you got the other one just round here as well. Oh dear God, I'm beaten up here. That one's slightly smaller, but that's actually more narrow. It feels more narrow to me. Yeah, amazing. Right, look at that. Concrete dome, a beautiful thing really. Like I said, there's one nearby that's actually in better condition, but it's in the middle of a farmer's field, and to be honest with you, you know, when I mean in the middle, I mean smack bang in the middle where there's sheep. So we don't really want to disturb that, do we? Anyway, thought I'd show you that. Very cool, right? Oh. Oh God, blimey. Get out of that freezing cold wind. There you go, everybody. I'll try and get my head out of the sun. Very difficult. So there we go. We covered the World War I pillboxes of Kent, and we talked about their use and function. Really hope you learned a lot from that. And when I say they're rare, they really are rare. I mean, most of you history lovers out there will probably understand that. Especially part of our anti-invasion sort of defensive lining during World War One. Fascinating, really. As I mentioned before, there is a better intact condition cylindrical pillbox that we have, but it's in the middle of a farmstead surrounded by sheep. Now, as I always sort of say, when I say it's in the middle of a farmstead, I mean it is literally in the middle of a farmstead surrounded by sheep. And I'm not, one, going to disturb the sheep, and second of all, pee off a farmer by literally taking the mickey and walking right in the middle of a field. The other two pillboxes were obviously part of a footpath, and one of them I did do a mini divert, but obviously where it was, you know, we're not going to get our wrist slapped on that really, and obviously show maximum respect as we do. But like I said, that other cylindrical one is in the middle of a farmstead, and I'm just not going to do that, frankly, just to sort of show I'm not here to disrespect or sort of show any type of stuff like that. So hopefully you can respect that as well. But we did cover both. So yeah, I mean, like I said, it's something I've been aware about for at least 20 years now, these amazing World War I pillboxes that were surrounded just in the Sittingbourne, Detling, Rainham area, this little cusp of Kent that we have. Thank you so much for coming along with me. Hopefully you enjoyed that and you learned a little bit about their use and their function. I'm sure there's probably little bits that I did miss out on, but hey, look, I'm not perfect on this, am I? You know, but I try my best. So hopefully you can give me a little bit of leeway on that. In the immortal words of Phoenix history, because history matters, and it just does, doesn't it, on stuff like this, because it's so interesting and so unique. Like I said, the fact that during World War II it was noted that they would have used these as defensive as well, which obviously makes sense. the fact that actually what's also really interesting to note is the square type and the cylindrical type are actually thicker than our Type 22. Basically they should be in theory thicker than a Type 22 pillbox World War II. So it's quite interesting to note that, because they were, you know, like again, different variants, but one of them was brick, one of them was concrete. In these cases, these World War I ones, they were just pretty much pure concrete with steel, and sometimes they'd have steel shutters and steel doors as well, which obviously depending. And then obviously we've got our interlinking trench systems in between. Yeah, thank you so much for coming along with me. Hopefully you learned a lot. Sorry for the sort of contrast in the sun. Get a tan at the bottom there, won't I? Take care, everybody. Love to all of you out there. Kisses to Maz, it just does. And you know the drill. Bye now. Ready? Pow.